We begin with Michael J. Fox. He is one of those actors that has made the leap from television star to movie star. Family Ties was one of television's top-rated sitcoms for 7 seasons, and then Back to the Future, the trilogy, has reportedly made more than $1 billion worldwide. Opening today is Michael J. Fox's latest movie. It is called Greedy. It stars him and Kirk Douglas. It comes to us from the writers of Parenthood and City Slickers, and I am very pleased to have him here. Welcome.
Well, thank you. It's nice to be here.
I didn't realize you live in New York. You're a New Yorker.
Yeah, for a good part of the time, and then also we go up to Connecticut. Yeah. I really like the East Coast, and particularly we have a young boy. He's 4.5, and it's just a great environment for him. It's very stimulating, and he could basically draw you a map of where everything is at the Met and where he really likes it here. So
yeah, and you love parenthood and fatherhood.
Very much, very much.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. It sounds so corny when you say it to people, but in a way, it's the great equalizer. It's the thing in life, especially if you're in a career like I am, that can be high pressure and can be unreal to a certain extent and kind of abstract and bizarre. It's very grounding to have the kind of family that I have, and it's I love it. I really do.
Greedy. Why did you do it? What was the motivation for this? Because I assume that after the track record you've had, the choice is there for you, either when you want to do something and what might propel you to do something at a particular time.
Yeah, it's actually interesting how choices are made, and it isn't quite the candy store that people imagine, no matter where you find yourself in terms of position in the industry or whatever. As a matter of fact, the kind of bizarre thing about this was I've always wanted to do something that was written by Logan Ganz and Bob Lou Mandel. I mean, they are the preeminent comedy writers, and their work is, I've always wanted those words. It's almost like when you watch a movie or you watch the work of a writer, and I can taste those words, and I just want them, And,
do they also have a certain rhythm that appeals to you? Do you get a sense?
So I almost have a theory about that too, but which I'll jump to if you like. But so the script came, and as a matter of fact, it was hard. It was a hard decision to make, only in that I kind of said, these young guys on the make kind of thing, which has kind of become my niche. I was looking forward to trying some other things, and then of course a script comes that's in that area but written by these guys, and it was so great, and it spoke about greed in a way that I hadn't seen in a while. The idea of like kind of 80s concept of greed, the white collar, milking, Alex Keaton, kind of Gordon Gekko, greed is good, kind of classy greed, kind of was the 80s, and now we're into this whole, figure skaters mugging each other for endorsements, kind of the Beverly Hills Boys, and they're just real low-level greed, and it really spoke to that. And I read it and said, this is great, I'd like to do it. Jonathan Lynn came on the next day, and it was unique in that way. Because
he was the director of choice for you if you'd had the choice to make?
Well, I read it and I said, boy, this would be a great thing for Jonathan Lynn. And they called him, sent him the script. The next day he said he was in. And
were they thinking about him before you made this call, or did your decision to do it and then your decision make them?
No, I think that they were probably
direction?
Thinking of him. I mean, he's a logical choice. He's a brilliant comedy director. He also has a background in the English stage, and this is a big ensemble farce. So you could have like 15 people in a room, and each one has a joke, and it takes a very special director to be able to pace that, block that, and shoot it. And he was the guy.
Your character is a bowler.
Right, he's a pro bowler. He's the 63rd best bowler in the world, which makes it tough to eat on a regular basis.
Yes.
His girlfriend is one of the producers with ABC Sports, who produces the bowling telecast on Saturdays, which is a very big deal for the bowling world. And so he's kind of in this struggle because he's with this girl, and yet he is not kind of the bowler he wants to be, and he feels that he's kind of leeching off of her. And unknown to him, his family is kind of that he's estranged from have all kind of rallied around this industrialist uncle who's quite old and quite kind of dictatorial, and they made a whole life out of being obsequious and sycophantic, and they're just weaseling around this guy. Anyway, one day they find out that he apparently has a mistress, and they panic because they say, oh, after all this work, he's going to marry this girl, leave her all the money, and we're out in the cold. So they remember this long-lost nephew of his that he loved, and they seek me out, and I happen to be at a time when I'm very
And he
vulnerable.
loved you because he loved bowling, or just loved you for some
No, he
other-
loved me because I was a cute kid, and I used to sing Durante for him. I used to sing Inka Dinka Doo for him. So they come and find me, and they bring me to this place, and I look around and I say, this is insane. You people are greedy. He's nuts. But it's about the kind of corruption of a fairly decent guy, a guy who has a good set of values and a good set of ethics. And it's a little different from me because a lot of times I play those guys that are corrupt to begin with and then are redeemed. Whereas this is a guy who's fairly together, and slowly he descends into greed and rationalization. And until very late in the movie, you don't see how this guy is going to rise above the pit that he's allowed himself to sink into.
How does one practice becoming a bowler in order to add some reality to this notion that you're the 63rd best bowler on the tour?
I spent a lot of time in Jersey.
Is that where you go to learn bowling?
Absolutely. I went
in,
to
in Newark, or Bayonne, or
Brunswick.
In Brunswick, yeah.
A
Is
place
that where the
called
Brunswick
Carolina.
Bowling Company is? Or?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I never. I
You
had
just
bigger. I had
you went to
bigger
the bowling
questions.
alley and said, "Here I am."
Exactly. I had bigger questions about my ability to do this.
Had you bowled before?
No, I'd never bowled.
You've never had a bowling
10-pin.
ball in your hand until then?
No. So they hooked me up with this guy Johnny Petraglia, who's
Yeah.
Hall of Fame bowler, and in that way it was really great. In that I'd never bowled. He was happy I'd never bowled because.
You didn't have old tricks to unlearn.
Yeah, I didn't have any of that stuff. It's like if you had never played baseball and Willie Mays showed up at your house and said, "I'm going to teach you baseball." All you know is what Willie Mays taught you, and so it was. It was great, and I got to a place where I was bowling pretty well. Although my
What's
goal,
pretty well?
well, 180, 190.
That's pretty good. I mean,
But-
a perfect game is 300, so
Right.
you're,
Yeah.
what the average bowler must do about, 110 maybe?
I guess so. Yeah, I was also, my aim was not necessarily to be a great bowler, but to look like a professional
great
bowler.
bowler.
So, it's that kind of thing. Let the editor get
Yeah.
the strikes. I just want to look like a goof at the line,
But you've got to do a whole lot of bowling in order to have them, if they're going to include this, like Fred Astaire, one whole shot.
Right. Well,
with
we
you
had a
doing
couple
it.
of those.
Yeah.
We had a couple of those, and of course I suggested.
After
to
how
him-
many takes?
Well, this is the thing. I was actually doing really well for a while, and then the day we went to shoot this scene, of course, is the only day we were able to shoot it. We have the bowling alley for this day, and then we're kicked out. We'll never be able to go back again. And I go to bowl that day, quite confident, and my thumb swole up.
Yeah.
For some reason, I couldn't fit it in the bowling ball. So a doctor came and he put cortisone in it or whatever, and I was able to do the stuff. And I was doing like a strike every 3 or 4 balls until we went to shoot it. And then it took me probably about 20 throws to get the one shot.
And what was your thumb like after that?
It was meat. It was gone. And I haven't picked up a bowling ball since, actually.
But out of no interest, because your memory of bowling is painful.
Yeah, it's kind of a little bit like, one of those lab tests. I associate bowling ball with pain.
Yes. Kirk Douglas. Had you met him before?
I never had, no.
Yeah. What's it like?
It
I mean,
was-
you now have a movie with you and Kirk Douglas in it.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's the thing. I mean, there's a film that exists where I'm on the screen with Kirk Douglas.
And when your son grows up, you can say, "Is there son?" You said son, didn't you?
Yeah.
Your son, you can say, "Remember Kirk Douglas?
Right.
Here he is with."
And he was not. I mean, I was intimidated at the thought of meeting him. And you don't know. I mean, somebody with that kind of aura, basically a legend or an icon. They kind of have carte blanche to be a jerk if they want to be.
And frequently are.
Sometimes, yeah, but happily not in this case. I met Kirk. He was very effusive and very friendly. He was very excited about the role, and ended up doing a great job. My only concern with Kirk was that right away after the first table reading, he came up to me and said, "Let's talk about the fight scene," because he and I have this fight scene in a swimming pool, and he kept, it's like every day he'd say, "We should talk about this fight scene," and I was getting a little nervous about how
Yeah.
excited Kirk was about this fight scene, and I said to the director, I said, Kirk is going to kick my butt,
Yeah.
basically. I think he's too excited about this. But it turned out to be a great scene. He's amazingly physically fit, man.
Yeah.
The only thing I think that has slowed him down at all was a helicopter crash that he was in a couple of years ago that hurt his knees. But tremendous energy and a tremendous actor. You know why he's a legend. He's a legend because of this aura and this energy and this his approach to acting, which is very brilliant.
And very professional on the set.
Very professional, yeah. And it was nice to in some cases where he would commend me for, he would say, "Well, you approach this just like I do," and that would be really exciting.
Any career advice from him?
Well, in a way, yeah.
Or, I mean, in the professional sense,
Yeah,
not so much this is how you become a star, but this is how you have what he has, which is longevity.
Right, exactly. And he was very open about that. He's not the kind of guy who's going to say, "Well, let me tell you about this and let me tell you about that." But if you said, "How does Spartacus come together?" or "How did you find the material?" or "Lonely or the Brave?" or any of these things, Cuckoo's Nest, he was very upfront, and he said, really, the secret is to always surround yourself with great people, and to always make choices where you're not carrying the ball. And I, in fact, have done that a couple of times where I allowed myself to be, you know, the offense and the defense and the whole thing, and it's quite enervating, and it's difficult. This was a case where I was surrounded with terrific people, and he was saying,
in terms of writers and directors and
writers,
actors.
directors, actors,
Yeah.
So he talked about that a lot. And I think the biggest thing that he showed me was that if you do have longevity, that you can still enjoy it. You can, after 50, 60 movies, whatever he's done, he loves this. You know.
And do you feel the same way now? I mean, having had Family Ties as a success, 7 years, having Back to the Future made so much money, and I guess given you a certain bankability, are you at a point where you can say, at least I'm over that hunger for success so that I can enjoy it and get better at it, but at the same time?
It was a realization that came later than I think it could have come. I think I've just kind of hit that in the last couple of years where I've said, you know, this is great. I should only be doing this for the fun of it now and not feel any kind of outside pressure. And I think Greedy was kind of the first step in that. And right now I'm just really relaxing and making choices carefully and enjoying my time with my family. And you know, I really got that from Kirk, that if it ceases to be fun, you should cease to be doing it.
Set up this scene we're going to see, which is the fight scene.
Well, this young man goes and he meets this uncle, and he hasn't seen him for a long time, and he's around all these, like I said, these obsequious, sycophantic relatives, and the uncle drops a little crumb in front of him, and kind of, Joe is testing him to see if he is potentially as greedy as they are, and says he knows that for $300,000 I can get into a business that I want to get into. So we're in the swimming pool, and he drops this notion that if I can beat him in this wrestling match, he'll give me $300,000. I think he's kidding, and it gets kind of out of control.
Roll tape. Here it is from Greedy.
Danny, come in the pool.
Is that salt water?
Yeah, helps me float. Belt's not enough. I can't use my legs. I tell you what, I'll wrestle you for the money.
What?
I'll wrestle you. If you win, I'll give you $300,000. If I win, you owe me nothing. Come on, out here in the deep end. Show that girlfriend of yours what you're made of.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I'm gonna beat up an elderly crippled man, and she's gonna say, "My, what a catch!"
Can your feet touch?
No.
Good.
Danny?
Come on, bowler.
Oh, come on, Jojo, that's enough. Let's him up.
That's great. Where do you go from here? What's next? You started to say that Greedy is the first of those things you do because...
Well, I don't know, and that's kind of the point of it. I'm just allowing myself to kind of relax for a little bit. When I look back in the last 10 years or so, there was this relentless kind of drive to be one step ahead and to keep working, and I don't know. Luckily I've just kind of reached this kind of peace where I don't know, and it's okay not to know. And I'm reading some things and just trying to there's a couple things out in the air that I'm just wondering if I'm going to commit to.
Is there a role model? Does someone have the kind of career, I mean, other than, say, Kirk Douglas, that appeals to you in terms of how they have handled themselves, both as an actor or someone who's an actor that's branched out into other things, whether it's Redford or Warren Beatty or others?
There are quite a few like that. I mean, certainly I love the idea of directing, and which is really just an extension of storytelling. As an actor, your responsibility is to tell a certain part of the story. But I can see why a lot of people want to do other things, because as a creative person, you can't help but be challenged by the input that all these other people have, and to be able to kind of to have a say in how it's lit, how it's cast, how it plays, and a lot of those, Robert Redford certainly, and and I also I feel a connection to the Penny Marshall and Rob Reiner and all of these people. So that's something I'm open to, and I have a production company and have worked on some things that the studio are interested in me directing. So I don't really know. I think that I want to kind of to have a little more involvement in like I said, the whole story. That challenges me. It doesn't some other actors, but for some reason it does for me. But I don't really know. I want to just keep enjoying this because it's a great job,
You've talked about television and directors and people that come out, I referred to that people who come out of television have a certain sense of being able to tell stories, storytelling, and a certain sense of rhythm and a lot of other things that make, and they've gone on to do other things. Can someone have, would you accept a television project? Could you imagine
definitely.
a television project that would be appealing to you in terms of where you are now?
Yeah, absolutely. Right. So many barriers have been broken down in terms of television. Everybody is involved in television on some level or another, whether it's cable or not.
And directors like Spielberg are doing things for television.
It's television is not what it used to be. It's infinite in its possibilities, and you see a lot of people going back and forth. You can also tackle subjects on television now that you couldn't before. But I don't know what it is about the reason that a lot of these people do well in film. They come from television, and I think it might be that there's an awareness of what the audience wants in a way. When you're, for example, doing 4-camera video, and I think I saw John Larroquette hanging around somewhere, who's also brilliant. Brilliant actor and brilliant at this particular thing, which is. A lot of times film acting involves separating yourself from everything, and even if you want to go all the way to Stanislavski, where you're a breeze or whatever you are, and there's no acknowledgement of the audience, their expectations, or anything like that. An actor who works in situation comedy is intensely aware of those 300, 400 people there. They alter his performance greatly from what he thought it was going to be, and there's a spontaneity to the point where you can see the tally lights come on. You know what to.
Is there any similarity therefore between that and being in theater? Because the
very
audience
similar
plays a different role.
Very similar to theater, but it's like this kind of halfway thing. So I think as a television comedy actor, you get involved in film, you kind of say, well, what they want here is this, or if we do this, we go this way, it's gonna work. And it is unique to television. So you're telling every week a half-hour story. You're very involved in the beginning, middle, and end. You're creating these arcs with your character on a weekly basis. So when you get into film, I think you carry that with you, and it's a real asset.
Would you then say that Family Ties, not only because it made you a household name and because it was an extraordinary 7-year run for you, also gave you such great experience that would be a recommended way for people? If you can do that, it's great training for moving beyond.
Absolutely. I think it's very different now than it used to be, that people said, I want to be a film actor, and would kind of right from the word go, say to their agents, don't even send me television stuff, I don't even want to know about it. I think that's kind of gone now. I think that the people realize any opportunity to work is great, and that you can make this transition. And I think the point, the interesting thing about making that transition is not as big a deal as it used to be, I think, because how you make it is you don't concentrate on making it. You just concentrate on every day the work that's in front of you, and if you do it well, there aren't the prejudices there used to be. There aren't, studio executives or whatnot saying, I don't want to deal with that guy, he's on TV. They say, wait a minute, 50, 60 million people watch this guy every week on TV. He must have something. Let's put him in a movie.
And what is it you think you have? There is something about you that was beyond talent. Is there some sense of persona?
I don't know. It's like Mark Twain said about comedy. He said comedy is like a frog. You can dissect it to find out how it works, but it invariably dies in the process.
Yeah. And Johnny Carson used to say there's nothing worse, more boring than talking about what makes comedy funny.
Right, exactly. But there is there is what Gary Goldberg used to call the comedy college with 2 Ks. There are certain rules in comedy. There are certain rhythms, things in threes, playing against. I'm calm. I'm perfectly calm. Why wouldn't you say I'm calm? All that stuff that is very technical. That you can carry with you, but beyond that, it's just enjoying it. And in terms of why people have related to me or whatever, I think that I don't know whether it's they kind of figure I'm one of them. I'm like a lottery winner, and I'm there, so they're kind of supporting the home team. There's it's all about empathy, and especially in comedy, it's all about giving the audience a chance to see themselves in you, And they don't want to step on the rake and have it hit them on the nose because they know what that humiliation is like. And yet, if you do it for them, they're very grateful.
I think of television. I think of someone like Roseanne. You know, I mean, part of the success of that show has got to be, beyond the comedy and beyond the writing and beyond the situation and beyond the storyline, is that they see in her a character, in part.
Well, that
like
show,
or Oprah, even in reality television.
It's about relating to the people. I mean, that show was, especially when it first came on the air. I know from a lot of the people that I grew up, they so related to that show because it was about people, and it's not threatening in a way, you know, because there is an affinity for that character and that way of living. I think Alex, you know, if that was anything, it was about this guy who thought he had the world by the tail, but essentially he was just a vulnerable kid, and I think people, you know, relate to that and kind of say, you know, I know how he feels. I know how he feels he should be perfect in the eyes of everyone else, yet he has struggles because everyone feels pressure to do the right thing all the time, and you just can't do it.
It's great to have you here. Nan, I know you live in New York. I'd love to have you back anytime. Please come.
Hey, I will.
Michael J. Fox, the movie is Greedy with Kirk Douglas and others. John Larroquette coming up. Stay with us as Friday night moves along.